Hey guys, today is day 3 and we are working on um, point of view. Yesterday you were reading a play, Stage Fright, and we talked about some things that you needed to notice in a play. Then we talked about the character's point of view and the details to support how their point of view and how they felt. And today we're going to read a fantasy. The genre is a fantasy. And the title of this is Skip and Fliss. So you should read this story. Hopefully you're going to read through this story. I'm not going to read it to you. Then you're going to look at the little box here at the bottom of the page, and it says closed reader habits. What is each character's point of view? Underline details that help you figure that out. So if you were to go back in this, and if you haven't read the story, I want you to pause the video and go look and go read the story. It's not a long one. You would look at number 2 or paragraph 2 where it says she was curious. That's something that we can underline that helps us figure out the character's point of view. And how about on paragraph 4? Mom wouldn't like that, Skip warned. It could be dangerous. So that's what Skip says, okay? Then if we look at paragraph 5 right below that, what does Fliss say? Don't worry so much, Skip. And she laughed about that. Then we look at the very next paragraph where Skip says, I'd rather be careful than get into trouble. I wish my boys would talk through something like this. And then paragraph 9 says, never again will I put my nose where it doesn't belong, Fliss cried. So maybe Fliss learned a lesson in this story. So after we've underlined the details that help us figure out their point of view, the characters being Skip and Fliss, we know that they're kind of two different characters. So now if we look at our questions, number 1, part A, says, what is Fliss's point of view at the beginning of the story? So what did Fliss think at the very beginning of the story? Remember, read through all your answer choices to see which one makes sense. And you should have chosen A. She likes to have fun and not worry. She was like, oh, it's fine. If we go back and look at the story in the beginning, she was curious. Oh, don't worry so much, she said, right? Then part B, it says, which line from the story best supports your answer in part A? So now we have to figure out which one of these choices is going to tell us that, yes, A is the correct answer up here. And if you look at this, I just went back and pointed out in the story, I pointed this out. We had underlined, don't worry so much, Skip, she laughed. That's what she said. So now let's move on down to number 2. Again, if we were in class, we would be talking to a partner. You can talk this out loud to yourself, or you can talk with someone in your household. What is Skip's point of view about exploring strange things? And how do you know? Well, we underlined it. Fliss was very curious. What did Skip? Skip was kind of warning Fliss, wasn't he? What? I mean, they were trying to help him out. So now let's look at number 3, short response. And let's go ahead and turn over to page 277 where we can look at what the short response is and look at the hint. How does Fliss's point of view change from the beginning to the end of the story? Why does it change? And then it says to use details from the story in your answer. The hint that they give you is what happens to Fliss when she goes over the net. Okay, so what happens to Fliss when she goes over to the net? So if we look at this, we have a couple questions to answer, and then we need to have details in the story. Okay, so I would start because it says how does she from the beginning to the end. And my time is going to run out, so I'm going to stop here, and we're going to go to part 2 for the short response. Okay, guys?